All right, with a different type of green uniform, I should add. But we'll talk about that in a moment. We start with a Fox News alert. President Joe Biden announcing his candidacy for re-election with the worst-kept secret in Washington. He had a 3-minute video released this morning.
And the RNC is now responding with their own ad, attacking Biden over his failures and what the country could look like with 4 more years of his leadership.
If you're just waking up, Peter Doocy joins us live from Wilmington, Delaware, with a little glimpse of both those storylines. Hey, Peter.
And the president's soft launch campaign video is more about Republican policies than his own.
Freedom, personal freedom, is fundamental to who we are as Americans. But you know, around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
Progressives are not impressed with this. Nina Turner writes, the DNC refusing to hold a single primary debate is undemocratic and robs the voters of choice. No one who feels confident in their record and or ideas would hesitate to stand on them. The DNC should hold debates. This is supposed to be a democratic process. The Biden campaign is going to be run by White House official Julie Chavez Rodriguez and Raphael Warnock alum Quentin Fulks, and they've already emailed their list asking for donations at joebiden.com, as the RNC hopes to counter with factcheckjoebiden.com. And they've dropped an AI video forecasting what they think another Biden term would mean.
Agents were overrun by a surge of 80,000 illegals yesterday evening.
Officials closed the city of San Francisco this morning, citing the escalating crime and fentanyl crisis.
Who's in charge here?
It feels like the train is coming off the tracks.
And as we watch this 2023 Biden campaign launch video next to the 2019 Biden campaign launch video, we realize they aren't that different.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election.
President Biden has long said he intended to run, but that he is a great respecter of fate. He is 80 years old, and he is betting that is not going to be an issue. Back to you.
That's right. So, Peter, going forward, on Friday, I understand there's going to be essentially a donor summit. Over the weekend, they called a bunch of fat cats, and they said, come down to D.C., open your wallets, we need the cash. And when it comes to big campaign rallies, we're probably not going to see any of those for a very long time. Instead, he's going to do policy-style speeches like he's doing right now. Going to make a trip to where? Australia and somewhere in Asia.
And Japan, yeah. And so they're trying not to let the business of being president get in the way of being a presidential candidate, and they think that they have more time because he does not have an opponent yet on the Republican side. He has many opponents. Just not one to focus on.
Gotcha. All right, Peter, thank you very much. Live report from Wilmington.
All right. Well, the people running against him are upset because they're not going to have any primary debates, and they're saying that is undemocratic. It's unfortunate. They're acting like there aren't any other candidates
on the Democrat side.
Exactly. I mean, voters want to hear from Kennedy. They want to hear from Marianne Williamson. They want to see how he would debate. But they're going to do anything in their power to make sure he doesn't get on that debate stage.
I wonder if it changes, Ainsley, if a bigger name gets involved. RFK, a famous name, but not a big politician. If
he's still drawing 15%, that's a lot.
If Governor Pritzker or...
I don't think they want him to debate until the very end when he has to.
Unless somebody really wants to win, like Bernie Sanders says, I'm in. I don't like the Democratic establishment anyway. Then would he avoid Bernie Sanders? So right now they ask people at the similar time, people in their own party, who do you support? When Barack Obama was running for re-election, he had 75% of all the Democrats. Clinton had 50%. Obama, obviously well, but Trump had 73%. Joe Biden Not many people on the left want him to run. Overall, Democrats, only 38% want him to run. When asked, should he run for president, 70% said no, he should not. 26% said yes, he should.
Right.
That's hardly the wind's at my back. Let me make it official today. Who's with me?
Right.
So it doesn't seem like they're trying to be high profile about the re-upping.
He's in it now, but you talk to any Democrat, no one's excited about him running again. Listen to this. This is a flashback of Democrats in the past.
The country would be well served by a new generation of compelling, well-prepared, dynamic Democrats to step up.
Are you encouraging him to run again?
I'm encouraging him to focus on what's right in front of us.
I've been very clear. I'd like to see a generational change. Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, the president, everybody. We need a new generation of leadership.
Are you going to endorse Joe Biden if he runs for re-election?
Oh, there's plenty of time for the election. This is the problem with America right now. We start an election every time there's a cycle. Let's see who's involved. Let's wait until we see who all the players are. Let's just wait until it all comes out.
There you've got a bunch of high-profile Democrats wishing there was somebody else. Well, now, officially, he's in. And he also officially ended the speculation Kamala Harris is going to be running alongside of him. So the question becomes, how many of the Democrats who have said, you know what, we want somebody else, now we're going to go, okay, we'll take him, because what the Democrats are trying to build up is that Donald Trump, if he is the nominee, would be a profound threat to democracy. And that is why one of the things they're doing, in addition to touting his achievements, infrastructure, healthcare, things like that, they're going to just clobber nonstop the Republicans. They presume it's Donald Trump, right. Could be Ron DeSantis with MAGA Republicans. He was at a Union Hall in Maryland a couple of days ago, and he clobbered him 21 times in a very short speech. So they're going to use that kind of branding to say, are those the kind of people you want in the White House?
Tree falls in the woods. Who hears it? If Trump says anything, people hear it because they show up. The one thing about Trump, he would do a good job in saying, how was the border when I was president compared to then? Where was inflation when I was president compared to President Biden? If that's MAGA, guilty as charged. How are the Abraham Accords in terms of in exchange for what China's doing, taking over the Middle East? Tell me, where was Iran? Were they more in check or less in check when I was in power? Right. What are our relations like with China? Is that MAGA or not? There's so many different ways to take somebody what they think is a strength and spin it towards the reality, because both now have track records.
Afghanistan withdrawal, how would Trump have handled that? Think about the spy balloon. We know how Trump would have handled that.
Right.
Sure, but
would they have come across at all?
Right.
But think about it this way: all this stuff is poll tested. What they've had 1 million people already watch that video, tell them what is good and bad. But they do know for a fact, in the last midterm election, Democrats used MAGA and MAGA extremists and MAGA Republicans 1 million times, and that red wave that had been predicted for months never materialized. Ultimately, they wound up, instead of 40 House seats, the Republicans wound up with 5.
So much had to do with abortion.
Well, whatever it was, they're looking back at the past as prologue, and they're thinking, well, that worked for us last time. Let's do it again. And that's why, as Peter detailed in his report, you know, that whole theme about last time he was talking about remember who we are. Once again, that is the choice. Remember who you are. And this is what I did for you. The other guy's going to do something bad to you.
Right.
That is the Cliff Note version of this.
He has to be careful, though, painting all Republicans as MAGA extremists.
Because they're not.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of Republicans do. I mean, he mentioned books. Republicans want to take the books out of your kid's school. You might be
the explicit sex books out of grammar school.
You might be a Republican, and you might not like the 6-week rule that Ron DeSantis did. You might want 12 weeks or whatever, because a lot of women don't hear the heartbeat until 8 weeks. You might want to be able to make that decision for your child. God forbid something happened to your 12-year-old child and you had to make that decision. But you still don't want your child reading books about sex in first grade or second grade.
And Ainsley, that is why the Democrats are injecting all the wedge issues into this particular ad. And we're gonna hear these themes from now till election day.
They just have to be careful by painting all Republicans as MAGA extremists. There are many more Republicans that are more moderate,
conservative,
that will hear all sides,
but
still are fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative, and might lean a little to the left on some social issues and not others.
Well, advertising-wise, they got to do what jiu-jitsu does. They use the power that you have against you. So you take that MAGA message, you embrace it in a nuanced way. So, for example, this is the first time we're going to see Joe Biden and Donald Trump on the ballot in three years. So the question is, you do the track record, and then you make Joe Biden actually earn it. Unlike the drive-in rallies that he had, the speeches that he recorded on teleprompter in his basement, you have to draw him out and make him earn it. And in terms of energy, if it's any of the people on the right, you got to feel as though they're more eloquent, they're more dexterous, verbally, physically. And then in terms of President Trump, I mean, President Trump just did an hour and 15-minute interview. Cumulatively, in 2 years, he hasn't done an hour and 15-minute interview.
Right. Just one thing about what they're doing, and we've all seen the 3-minute video that they have released 2 hours and 12 minutes ago. What they're doing is when they talk about MAGA Republicans, they show January 6th. They show Matt Gaetz. Marjorie Taylor Greene is in that ad as well. So what they're trying to do is remind people about January 6th. They're trying to remind people about abortion. And what they're trying to do is just say, is this your vision of the future? Ultimately, what it's going to come down to as we get closer to the election, people have got to decide. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? As we have heard for decades, once again, it's going to be really apt because the Democrats know the challenges are Joe Biden is 80. He's not as sharp. They've got terrible inflation that's, draining everybody's wallet, and the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Those are the big things they've got to worry about for Joe Biden.
And the border.
Today is a huge day. Joe Biden has announced he is running for president. We asked a panel. One was a Republican, one was an independent, one was a Democrat, how they felt about this. Listen.
We are not better off than we were 3.5 years ago. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. At this point, we have to take a chance.
It's a common sense issue. In order for America to prosper and to evolve, its technology is moving so quickly. We need a strong, independent leader. And an 80-year-old man, I don't think, can cut it.
Right now, he wouldn't get my vote in the primary. Interest rates are sky high. We have an inflation. We have a war in Ukraine. We have a possible war with China. All these things are happening on our watch. We're not respected worldwide. Right now, this fell flat for me.
And the Hunter investigation could really come up. Would it be amazing if the bank records of Hunter Biden in that child out of wedlock that he has ended up moving that investigation forward? Because everybody that looks at the Hunter Biden situation says, where is the money? And the fact is he had to borrow $2 million to pay off his back taxes. I'm wondering where this is going to lead. So that's simmering below, and I'm fascinated by how few Democrats are rushing to try to marginalize this investigation. How many over the weekend said, yeah, whatever happens, that's where, let it see what pans out. And this whistleblower waiting in the wings, about to testify, I believe, to Ways and Means first, about what he has seen, which bothered him so much to come forward.
Won't it be interesting?
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.